But with the Bitcoin price, because it's this new asset class that ultimately competes with gold, that means it's going to go from just under $1 trillion market cap to $10 trillion market cap. You're talking about an asset that's at 40,000, could easily go to 400,000 in a relatively short period of time. So you don't want to be the guy in the cartel who's short Bitcoin when it's about to make a 10x move. So it's very difficult to maintain that cartel in a Bitcoin scenario because it's got that huge upside potential yet. And it also, because it's redefining money as we know it. And so it's going to attract, by the nature of this new digital synthetic commodity, buyers are going to essentially rule price discovery. It's going to be very difficult to keep a sell order in this mix where you've got this upward trajectory of a new asset class where the total addressable market for Bitcoin is literally $400 trillion, which is the total market cap of all investable securities, stocks, bonds, property, all derivatives, all these things taken in aggregate is at $400 trillion. So, and that is potentially the total market, addressable market for Bitcoin. It can demonetize. I think it's already demonetizing gold, just like gold demonetized silver, right? Used to be on a bimetal standard. Now we're on a gold standard. Silver got demonetized. Bitcoin is now demonetizing gold. It'll demonetize the property market. It'll demonetize the bond market. The bond market's a $200 trillion market. Bitcoin's not even at a 1 trillion. That's a 200x right there. So to get back to the price suppression, of course, there will be a lot of price discovery games being played with a lot of derivatives. But ultimately, unlike gold,
Hi there, lovers of cryptocurrency. Fasten your seatbelts for an exciting ride into the ever-changing world of Bitcoin. The incredible potential of Bitcoin is the topic of discussion today. Rumors inside the cryptocurrency community indicate that Bitcoin might see a massive 10x increase, increasing in value to an unbelievable $400,000 per coin. Max Keiser, whose recent interview has shown the complex mechanics of Bitcoin as an asset class, is our guide through this fascinating story. Max takes us on a fascinating journey through the complexities of comprehending the development of Bitcoin. By making perceptive comparisons to the conventional gold market, he exposes the price manipulation and suppression strategies used in derivatives trading. Max reassures us that the inherent power of Bitcoin will ultimately triumph despite the compelling expose on the difficulties the cryptocurrency faces due to market manipulations. Max seems quite optimistic about the future of Bitcoin, which adds to the video's appealing quality. He argues that even while market manipulation could influence prices briefly, the tremendous demand for Bitcoin will eventually cause its price rise. The game is definitely evolving as we see a spike in institutional interest and the entry of giants like BlackRock. Max fervently contends that the surge in institutional investment is a game-changing event that will accelerate Bitcoin's inevitable rise. Max Keiser also explains the importance of BlackRock's entry into the Bitcoin space. Learn about the revolutionary elements that, in Max's opinion, might completely alter the Bitcoin landscape. This is a thorough investigation of the factors influencing Bitcoin's future. Therefore, as we make our way through the complexity, the momentum driving Bitcoin higher and higher. Now let's listen to what Max Keiser has to say.
With the gold cartel, you need participation of everyone in the cartel to keep the price suppressed because they all get to make a little money doing that. There is a natural buyer of gold. Gold always has a buyer. Central banks are always in the gold market. So you know pretty much that the demand for gold is pretty much omnipresent. There's always some demand for gold. If you can go into the market and manipulate prices using derivatives contracts, which in this case would mean counterfeiting sale orders to drop the price discovery mechanism by counterfeiting and putting counterfeit sell orders into the market, which drives the price down, you have the ability then to just sit back, wait for the natural demand to come in, which there always is demand for gold, and then ride it on the way up again. And this seesaw back and forth is how the gold cartel is able to book, 1 or 2% a week trading gold. But if you leverage that, you're making 30 or 40% a year, but really with no risk at all. And the way that the cartel sustains itself is that everybody in the cartel knows that the possible risk to them would be a sudden price spike in the price of gold. Like it went from 2 to 20,000 in a day. If that were a possibility, then you would be very difficult to maintain a gold cartel, because that risk would be very tempting for somebody to break the cartel and take advantage of that risk. You see that in OPEC all the time, the OPEC cartel. It's hard to keep it going because there's always one player who breaks it and wants to just make an outsized gain against the cartel. And then they can say, well, let's go to war. They go, no, let's bring the cartel back. Don't be such an idiot. And that's been going on really for 50 years. It'll have this natural upward bias. The second thing is that gold is very difficult, and nobody really wants to stand for delivery of gold. Yes. So when you're in the gold business, it's all paper settled. And it's all cash settled, and people rarely would say, I've got a ton of gold in the market I'm bidding for. I'm going to take delivery of it. I'm not going to. The gold, you've got to ship it, you've got to insure it, you've got to store it. Right? Moving gold around is very difficult. Shipping it and storing it. With Bitcoin, because you don't have any of that cost whatsoever, and you control the private key, any laddered, manipulative price discovery edifice can be quickly destroyed by pulling your private key, because it's the base level of any manipulative scheme. Any Ponzi scheme would have, if you can pull it, the whole thing collapses. So that's a unique attribute of Bitcoin, which gold has doesn't nowhere comes close with that ability either, because it's you can move $1 billion to $20 billion in Bitcoin in one in a transaction, one transaction that's completely frictionless. It's costless. It might cost $5 to move $1 billion. So these things work in its favor against a manipulative cartel emerging to keep the price from realizing its natural bias toward demonetizing every financial asset in the world due to its superiority in every way.
I think that delivery thing is the most important to the fact that prices on gold could be manipulated, because very few people, it's only central banks, and even then they don't like to take delivery of gold because it's very expensive to transport in mass. If it's 1 ounce, okay, that's okay. But to take delivery of a ton, you also saw this, for example, during the COVID lockdown with oil. Oil is very difficult as well to take delivery of. Well, that's why oil prices went negative in the US, because there was an ETF sort of product on a futures contract of oil. And it got to the point in, the pricing of oil where the expiration of the contract, they had to roll it over. And in order to do it, basically they had to take delivery of oil, and nobody had the ability to take delivery of oil at that moment. So the price went negative because of that. So that showed the scheme. If you can't take delivery of the item, it all blows away. Well, with Bitcoin, it's very easy to take delivery of no matter how much. If it was like $10 billion worth, you could take delivery just as easily as if it's $10 worth.
Yeah, I remember when I was working on Wall Street, there would always be these stories about that you'd see in the Wall Street Journal that some farmer in the Midwest, didn't roll over a futures contract and was forced to take delivery of 50,000 tons of wheat or something. It just showed up, it's like, you own it, they ship it, it's like, oh man, I messed up that order. But that's not the case with Bitcoin for the reasons that we've just discussed. So yes. I would say the short answer again is no. Well, the BlackRock is a useful idiot, right? Because they've got a lot of money and they're going to buy a lot of Bitcoin. And so for 12 years, we have front run BlackRock. This is really the first time, again, another first in history, where the average person got in there a decade before Wall Street did, right? So when we was doing Keiser report, Bitcoin was $1. We talked about it as a new asset class. We said that it had the potential to go to $100,000. A lot of people we know bought, 1,000 Bitcoin, 2,000 Bitcoin for a couple of $1,000. Right? They're sitting on $40, $50, $60 million. So, and they're very appreciative. They send us thank you notes all the time.
Max Keiser explores how a cartel may reduce the price of gold by enlisting the help of all of its members and the complex mechanisms involved in the gold market. He clarifies that the manipulation basically consists of forging sell orders through the use of derivatives contracts in order to manipulate the price down. As a result, cartel members can benefit from the seesaw effect, which involves lowering the price, waiting for demand to pick back up, and then riding the price back up. The gold cartel can only last so long as everyone is aware of the possibility of an unexpected price increase that would convince someone to abandon the cartel. Max draws parallels with OPEC, highlighting how cartels can be challenging to maintain when there's always the temptation for one player to break the rules for outsized gains. He emphasizes the difficulty of standing for delivery in the gold market, as most transactions are paper settled and cash settled. This lack of willingness to take physical delivery of gold enables the manipulation to persist. He contrasts this with Bitcoin, emphasizing its unique attributes. Bitcoin's frictionless and costless transactions, coupled with the ability to take delivery of any amount easily, make it resilient against manipulative schemes. Max underscores the importance of Bitcoin's ability to disrupt the manipulative price discovery edifice by pulling the private key, thereby collapsing any Ponzi scheme. Max goes on to discuss how Bitcoin's ease of distribution and transportation gives it an advantage over commodities like gold and oil, as it can withstand these obstacles. Finally, he says that BlackRock's entry into the Bitcoin market has turned them into a useful idiot, as their big investment has unintentionally become a recommendation for the cryptocurrency. Max highlights that the average person has had a decade-long head start on Wall Street in the Bitcoin space, front-running institutions like BlackRock and experiencing substantial gains. But that's not all. Also, Stacy Herbert has few things to say, so let's hear what she has to say next.
So I would say you have to come to El Salvador, because everybody has to come to El Salvador if you're a Bitcoiner or not. Because even if you're just red-pilled and not orange-pilled, El Salvador is definitely a place you have to come see for the liberation and the economic liberty alone. In El Salvador, from April, the first week of April, we have the Bitcoin halving party, and many people from around the world are coming to that. But El Salvador also has a new thing where just a tourist visa, you arrive and it's $12. Some countries are different prices, but for most it's $12. You arrive, you pay the $12, and you can stay for 6 months on a tourist visa.
Wow.
So you come for the halving party and you stay for the Adopting Bitcoin conference in October. So I think you can get it all in one go, and maybe it's early November that the Adopting Bitcoin event will be, but it's definitely the beginning of a super dry season, really cool time to be here. This is a good year to be here, because also President Bukele will be inaugurated June 1st. So you'll be here for a real huge party for his landslide victory and the second term beginning. I think everybody's in a good mood, everybody's happy, and it's cheap, and it's also the home of economic liberty.
Stacy Herbert sends out a heartfelt invitation to people everywhere, highlighting the special and life-changing experiences that await them in El Salvador. She feels that although the appeal is primarily aimed at Bitcoin fans, it also appeals to individuals who are politically aware, red-pilled, or economically concerned, orange-pilled. El Salvador, in her opinion, is a must-see location since it is a beacon of economic freedom and emancipation. Stacy highlights the exciting events coming up, such as the Bitcoin HAV party that will take place the first week of April. This international event is expected to bring together enthusiasts of Bitcoin from all walks of life in a lively mix of passion and joy. Outside of the celebrations, El Salvador is a progressive country when it comes to tourism. A recently enacted law permits visitors to obtain a 6-month visa for a mere $12. She believes provides a golden opportunity for visitors not only to partake in the Bitcoin HAV party, but also to extend their stay and participate in the Adopting Bitcoin conference scheduled for October. The dual event experience, encompassing both celebration and education, offers a comprehensive exploration of El Salvador's evolving relationship with the digital currency, offers a fantastic chance, in her opinion, for guests to stay longer and take part in the October Adopting Bitcoin conference, in addition to attending the Bitcoin HAV party. The celebratory and educational component of the 2-day event provides a thorough examination of El Salvador's changing relationship with digital currency. Additionally, Stacy emphasizes the intentional timing of early November, which is in accordance with El Salvador's start of the extreme dry season. She says that the country's varied landscapes, lively culture, and stunning natural beauty are best experienced against this climate backdrop. Expecting a victorious scene, Stacy draws attention to President Meli's upcoming inauguration on June 1st, which will bring in his second term following an overwhelming win. She sees a general sense of cheerfulness and optimism in the nation, which is enhanced by El Salvador's general affordability as a travel destination. Stacy Herbert presents El Salvador as more than simply a tourist destination in her lengthy letter, referring to it as the home of economic liberty. She invites guests to fully experience the distinct mix of celebration, culture, and the ever-changing Bitcoin acceptance environment that characterizes this country in Central America.